Part 191. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1901. Lu Zhang reminded, don't forget the expenses we occasionally spend on dining out, treating guests to meals, or visiting the doctor. On average, it costs dozens of dollars a month no matter what, as well as the clothes and shoes for you and your children. Feng Qingxiu waved her hand. Both of us are covered by the state, so we don't need to spend any more money to buy it. The main thing is for the children. Children grow old when the wind blows, and they need to be replaced every year. Clothes can be lengthened, widened, and mended, but there is nothing we can do about shoes. They have to be thrown away when they are too small. Fu Bao cherishes some of the old clothes and shoes and can give them away. Ye Yan and the triplets almost wore out the shoes. Feng Qingxiu sighed and wrote down the favors such as dining out, treating guests, visiting others, etc., and spent 50 yuan per month. Even if everyone is proud to wear green military uniforms, you can't always wear military uniforms. I think you will look better if you have white skin and bright colors. You have to make 2 new outfits throughout the year. Don't be so harsh on yourself. Lu Zhang found that his wife had been working almost all these years and had not bought any new clothes. She bought her old leather shoes around the time of her marriage and they were already a bit out of date. Suddenly, Lu Zhang felt a little distressed and secretly hated himself for his dereliction of duty. Feng Qingxiu said disapprovingly, there are many places to spend money, so we old people should live frugally. Don't forget, you still have to send 100 yuan to the orphanage every month. I have to remember that there are also those martyrs. Dependents, how much do you get per month? Lu Zhang sighed, some are still sending money, and some have stopped. I will support the children until they are 18 years old. When they become adults, they should take on the burden of life no matter what. The lonely elderly and young children among the families of the martyrs are still in terms of funding, there is more money this year than last year, about 80 yuan a month. Feng Qingxiu hummed, it was a big expense. We can't always buy new clothes for Fu Bao from now on. For others, it takes 3 years to get new clothes and 3 years to get old ones, and another 3 years to sew and mend them. Although our family doesn't have to go to that point, we can't be extravagant. Cloth tickets are limited, so we only need to pay for each child's clothing. Calculated at 10 yuan a month, 120 yuan a year is quite a lot. It's about 30 yuan per quarter. If I ask someone to bring them clothes and shoes, I can save a fortune next year. Lu Zhang looked at the bill and said, in this case, the child's tuition and living expenses alone will cost 20 or 30 per month. That's not the case. Feng Qingxiu cleared her throat. Listen carefully, 100 for rent, water and electricity, 100 for orphanage, 80 for martyrs' families, 20 for children's living expenses and equipment, 100 for food, and 50 for outings and favors. Gas fee is 20, party fee for 2 people is 8.55, daily necessities is 20. Our family's necessary expenses for a month are 498.55, nearly 500 yuan. This does not include the living expenses of my father and Zibao, nor the annual heating expenses and children. Tuition fees. Leaders of mainland China, your monthly salary and allowance are not enough to live on. Lu Zhang was dumbfounded. If you do the calculation again, I don't even earn enough to spend. Feng Qingxiu nodded. Fortunately, she had done the calculation carefully today, otherwise she would still be living a life of lavishness. Your salary is 360 yuan a month, with a 30% allowance, a total of 468 yuan. My salary is 135, plus a 10% allowance, a total of 148.5 yuan. Other subsidies are ignored. Let me calculate, our monthly income is 616.5, minus the 498.55 expenses, the balance is a little over 100. Don't forget Dad and Zibao's living expenses, as well as heating expenses and tuition fees. Lu Zhang almost babbled, it's really not like I don't know. I'm shocked when I think about it. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1902. It seems that we won't be able to buy cultural relics and antiques as we like in the future. We don't have spare money, so we have to keep the more than 100 left every month for emergencies. Feng Qingxiu suddenly felt heartbroken and filled up the bill. He clutched his notebook to his heart. We still owe Uncle Xia 10,000 yuan. I wrote on the IOU to pay it off within 3 years. Now I can only sell gold to pay off the debt. I used to feel that my life was very comfortable, but now I find that if I don't increase revenue and reduce expenditure, I will be stretched thin. This is simply a world of difference. Lu Zhang had a toothache and covered his cheek. He couldn't buy his wife the things she liked. He couldn't let her live a life of buying whatever she wanted. This was a serious problem for him. Show me, why our expenses are so high. Lu Zhang read the bill that Feng Qingxiu had written down from beginning to end, pondered for a moment, crossed out the children's equipment expenses, and changed it to 10 per month for living expenses. Yuan, plus the installation fee of 30 yuan per person per year, and then change expenses such as eating out. Let's eat out less and just focus on human relationships, and we can save 20 yuan every month. Feng Qingxiu stretched out her finger and gave him a virtual nod. You have a beautiful idea. Our children spend more than 20 yuan for a meal when they go out. You haven't seen Erxian. His appetite is so big that it can even support a strong laborer. This item cannot be changed. The cost of clothing for boys can be reduced appropriately. Their old clothes can be mended, lengthened, and widened, or your and my old military uniforms can be made smaller and smaller. The bigger the fubao is, the more beautiful it will be. There are new clothes to wear, but if you shorten them too much, she will be in a hurry with you. After a pause, she looked happy. I have to thank Yunyun for sending Fubao several sets of clothes and several pairs of new shoes this year. Next year, I will spend dozens of dollars to make her 2 skirts and shirts, and I can probably get away with it. In this way, most of the child's equipment costs next year can be saved. It can save hundreds of miles, Feng Qingxiu said happily. Lu Zhang hummed twice, opened his eyes wide and tried hard to find where he could save, and finally crossed off the gas bill. I decided, except for business trips, I would not use the car if I can, or take a ride and save this money. I'll buy you something. Feng Qingxiu was overjoyed after hearing this, and her heart was as sweet as honey. Really unable to find any place to save money, Lu Zhang closed the book and cleared his throat. Dad and Zibao don't need us to worry about it for the time being. Maybe it's because the third uncle and third aunt are here and they haven't asked us for money in the past 2 years. When Dad can live with us, I guess it will be time for him to be rehabilitated, and the country will definitely compensate him. Feng Qingxiu suddenly remembered the 100,000 yuan the country had given Lu's father as compensation in her previous life. At that time, my father's household was worth 100,000 yuan. But that's Dad's money. We can't make any decisions. There are still Tianwan and Tianzi. Mentioning her 2 nephews, she suddenly remembered the extra monthly income. I almost forgot. I have to remember that Tianwan and Akan have to send me 20 yuan every month, which is 40 yuan a month. No matter how many times I said it, I still want to give it to Tianzi and Au, but I finally persuaded them to do so. Isn't it enough for them to live in their hometown with just a little more money? And the living expenses that Yes Yangqian gave to Yayan 100 a month, which is a lot of money. Feng Qingxiu shook her head and said, there is no need to remember this money. His grandparents live next door to us. Yayan has to live there for a while. Maybe our children will go there to earn money. How can we have the nerve to collect Yayan money forward? She knew what was going on. Preparing to save for tomorrow's update, the result is published. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1903. Seeing that his salary was not enough to support his family, Lu Zhang, who was very ashamed, decided not to make things easier for the brats. He went downstairs, found some glue, and stuck the bills with handwriting on their doors. They live in the largest sunny room on the second floor because it is shared by 4 people. As soon as you enter the door, there is a bathroom on the left, 2 3-door wardrobes on the right, and further inside there is a solid wood bunk bed leaning against the wall on one side, an aisle in the middle, and a writing desk under the window at the end. Apart from this, there was no other furniture in the room. The door opened outwards, so once the door was closed, they could see the paper on the door while sitting on the bed. "Dad, what did you post?" Lu Erxian was not a good sleeper and lived on the lower bunk. He had just inspected his territory and was satisfied with the fluffy, soft, and clean bedding. He put his toiletries in the enamel basin under the bed. Seeing Lu Zhang coming in to post something, he looked at it with big eyes curiously. Lu Zhang knocked on the account posted on the door with his fingers. "The older you grow, the more you eat, the more you travel, the more you spend, the more you spend. I am an old man who is overwhelmed, so I made a special list of household expenses. Bill, teach you what it means to be diligent and frugal. If you are a man, don't indulge in enjoyment. Keep in mind the purpose of hard work. 3 years of new life and 3 years of old life, 3 years of mending and mending. Just eat enough. Don't ask for good food. Give up. You can play with things that make you lose your mind, study hard and make progress every day." Lu Erxian stood on tiptoes to finish reading, and puffed out his cheeks and said, "Dad, you are making no sense. The one who spends the most money is yourself. The rent and water and electricity bills are 100, the orphanage is 100, the families of the martyrs are 80, a total of 208 miles. Our family only spends 100 on meals, and the tuition and books for the 5 of us are only more than 100 per year, so the frugality should start with you." Lu Zhang glared, "Is that spending money on me? Look carefully and don't talk back to me." "Huh, I'm being reasonable, but you're being unreasonable, so you can't let me talk back." Lu Erxian pointed at the equipment fee that had been crossed out and changed to 30 yuan a year, jumping up and down, waving to his brothers to come up and help. "Yes. Brother, come and take a look. The money my mother wrote to make clothes for us was reduced by my father. It was more severe than cutting it off, leaving only a quarter." Zhuang was lying on the lower bunk opposite him, with a fat pillow under his body and a harmonica in his hand. He said carelessly, "Anyway, I often wear your and third brother's old clothes. It doesn't matter if I don't wear new clothes. I'm not greedy, and I don't mind you wearing your clothes in tatters." Dundun and Erxian were born from the same egg. They look similar and have the same build. They are stronger but smaller. They just pick up the clothes they discarded. In addition to Fubao being extremely beautiful, the living environment has caused several children to not care much about the condition of their clothes. Many of their peers around them wear shabbier and older clothes, and no one is angry about not wearing them. Of course, I still feel happy wearing new clothes, which is different from wearing old clothes. Look at our little Zhuang, how reasonable we are and how understanding our parents' hard work is." Lu Zhang praised him very much, and then glanced at Lu Erxian. "My surname is Lu Erxian, you have to learn from your brother and learn the hard and simple lifestyle." Lu Erxian looked contemptuous. "Dad, you are an adult. Adults cannot oppress us children." Yan ignored the dispute between father and son, ran over and squeezed Xiong away, looked at the bill carefully, turned around and asked worriedly, "Uncle Lu, is our family really out of money? I'll ask Dad to send it, or I will go to Grandpa's house for dinner. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1904. Yan could only think of these two methods. Grandpa's house is nearby, so he can go there and save food expenses for his family. If his father sends money, he will have enough money to study and make clothes. Anyway, he has a lot of money to spend on his own. Lu Zhang took him outside, touched the top of his head, and whispered, "Our family is not short of money. Your aunt and I's salary is enough to cover all these expenses. What's more, your father often sends money. I'm educating your three younger brothers. I heard that this time in Shanghai, Lu Erxian spent a lot of money on things." Yan said hurriedly, "My brothers didn't spend money randomly. Although they spent a little more, the things they bought were very useful. Dun Dun and Zhuang worked together to buy sheepskin vests for their uncle and aunt, and the money came from Grandpa Cheng and Grandma Cheng. It's just for us to buy things." Speaking of this, he suddenly remembered the things he bought for Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu. He was about to go back to the room and take them out for them when he saw Feng Qingxiu coming down from upstairs and said, "Zhang, don't behave like a child. Let's get naughty and take Yan to see Comrade Ye Zhenjun and Comrade Guo Kui first. If others know that he is in the capital and don't go to see his grandparents first, they will definitely gossip. The compound is not monolithic. Now that the forces have been redivided, many people and things are very scheming with each other. Even if you start from a small place, it is not impossible to defeat others." Lu Zhang patted his forehead with 3 fingers. "When you settled the score, it made me feel so sad. I really forgot about it. Can I take my younger siblings with me?" Yan was a little nervous as he followed Lu Zhang alone to meet his grandparents. To be honest, he really didn't have a deep relationship with his grandparents. "We haven't been together day and night, so how can we talk about feelings? When he was a child, he lived with his father. When his father was on a mission, he ate at other people's homes or went to the cafeteria. His life was not very satisfactory. It was not until he met Fubao and the Lu family that he often ate, lived, and played with the triplets, and he felt that feeling the warmth of family. In his heart, the status of the Lu family was higher than that of his father, not to mention Ye Zhenjun and his wife." Lu Erxian heard it in the room and said loudly, I'm going, good brothers, let's advance and retreat together." Yan smiled, and his nervousness was immediately relieved. "Then come out quickly, let's go together." As he said this, Yan ran back to the room, called Dun Dun and Zhuang, and at the same time took out the gift he bought for Ye Zhenjun and his wife from his luggage bag. He was rich and spent a lot of money in Shanghai. Anyway, Lu Erxian encouraged him to buy food and drinks. Looking at the gift that Yan took out, Lu Jiang's eyes showed approval. Seeing Yan taking off his old coat and trousers, Lu Jiang raised his eyebrows. He said they were old clothes, but in fact they had only been exposed to water 3 or 4 times. There were no signs of wear and tear, but they were slightly faded. "Brother Ye, why are you changing clothes?" Lu Erxian watched Yan put on sportswear curiously. The sportswear Feng Qingyun bought for them was a bit too big, and it actually fit just right over the cotton-padded clothes. Yan stepped on his sneakers and replied, "Wear them for my grandparents, so they don't think I suffer. You guys, how about we change into the same ones? When we go out, we will know that we are a family." Lu Erxian was crazy because he was afraid that the world would not be in chaos. He clapped his hands and said, Okay, I support you. I am so happy to be able to wear new clothes and new shoes." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1905. Feng Qingxiu helplessly held her forehead, watching several boys wearing new clothes and new shoes, tidying up their heads, and going downstairs with Lu Zhang with their heads held high. Only Zhuang wore sportswear. It looks a little too big when wearing a cotton coat. Fu Bao was designing the furnishings of his room. He didn't want to go out, but Ye Yan forced him to go. What a blessing, just recognize the door. After hearing what Ye Yan said, Fu Bao didn't object. Feng Qingxiu, who had clean ears, was not in a hurry to go downstairs. She went to her son's room first and found that they had tidied it up very well. The wash basin, toiletries, and luggage bag containing clothes and toys were all placed under the bed. Although the enamel basins for towels, toothbrushes, etc. the arrangement is not very neat, but it shows the good habits they have developed in daily life. The desk is empty, and now there are only enamel tanks from which they drink water and a strong harmonica. Turning around, she went into her daughter's room. Considering that his daughter loves beauty, Lu Zhang prepared more carefully. He went to the logistics management office of the compound to rent 2 dressing tables with glass mirrors, one for the master bedroom downstairs and one for his daughter's room. The large wardrobe was also inlaid. There is a rectangular full-length mirror, and there is also a shoe cabinet, which displays the shoes Fu Bao sent from his hometown and the shoes she brought from Shanghai. Looking over the comb, cream, clam oil, hairpins, and hairpins on the dressing table, Feng Qingxiu found a mahogany mother-of-pearl mirror box from the space and placed it on it for Fu Bao to use. It can store both jewelry and hairpins. Skincare products. If you look closely, the furniture in the house is all old-fashioned mahogany furniture. Lu Zhang found it and rented it. Generally speaking, everyone likes new furniture, and no one cares about old-fashioned furniture, but their family likes it. This kind of furniture is more beautiful than new furniture, and the house has an antique fragrance. Feng Qingxiu opened the large wardrobe and hung Fu Bao's clothes neatly. They were colorful in spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and there was no shortage of them in any season. Especially the new clothes Feng Qingyun bought for her looked particularly beautiful when hung up. These children are all crazy. In Shanghai, the old clothes were packed and given to Feng Qingxiu to be mailed. The new clothes, new shoes, toys, balls, and other things were all carried with them. They were worried that they would be lost in the mail. Nothing but joy. Of course, those clothes and things that were mailed were all put away by Feng Qingxiu. Thinking of space, Feng Qingxiu went downstairs to her and Lu Jiang's bedroom to tidy up a little. Through the window, she saw the winter sweet blooming well in the corner of the yard. Feng Qingxiu thought for a moment and found an elegant and fresh Ryukil beauty goblet from the space, filled it with water, and then cut a branch of winter sweet and inserted it in it. Delicate yellow like wax, with a strong fragrance. Seeing her coming in with a vase, Ms. Zhang smiled quickly and said, "It's cold, winter sweet and daffodils are in bloom, but it's a pity that there are few flowers and trees in our yard. If you like it, I'll go to the old comrade's house tomorrow to ask for some pots to keep." "Whose house has more potted flowers? Do you like growing flowers? I will visit you personally tomorrow." Feng Qingxiu actually likes to grow flowers. She likes all kinds of flowers. They bloom in sequence according to the seasons. You can see different flowers throughout the year. Unfortunately, flower gardening is a petty bourgeois sentiment that will be knocked down. She has never dared to take the lead. Sister-in-law Zhang smiled and said, "It's not whether you like it or not, but there are flowers and trees in the yard. The best flowers and trees are at Lao Shui Wang's and Lao Shui Lu's house, and General Su's house." Comrade Lu Zhang took his children to Comrade Ye Zhenjun's house. There are also many types of flowers and trees, and the flowers and trees in the house of Comrade Zhou Fengshu next door are also lush. The old friend who lived in our house before didn't like flowers, so he pulled out all the flowers and trees and planted them instead. "Hey, they are all acquaintances," Feng Qingxiu smiled brightly. "I'm going to get some good flowers tomorrow, and I have to buy a few flower pots." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1906. She carried the vase into the bedroom and placed it on the dressing table under the window. The faint fragrance soon spread. The setting sun was shining outside the window, and a halo of yellow suddenly appeared in the house. Feng Qingxiu turned on the light, and first took out some of the things she bought in Shanghai last time and put them into the high and low cabinets that stood against the wall of the big wardrobe. They were high-priced silks, etc. She told Fu Bao that she would send them after she bought them. Went to the capital. Anyway, Lu Zhang received the package, and no one came to look through their wardrobe, let alone suspect it. She has the secret of space, so on the first day she moved in, she specifically told the nanny that she was not allowed to enter or leave their bedroom or Lu Jiang's office at will. She and Lu Jiang were responsible for hygiene, but they only swept the floor, mopped the floor, and wiped the table. Nothing else. It won't bother them, and it's usually Lu Jiang who does it. As for the things she bought in Shanghai this time, she decided to go out with Lu Jiang in a few days and pretend to bring them back, because the plane was faster and the transportation speed of those things was not that fast. Even if you are trying to fool people, you have to do it in a way that makes sense so as not to make people suspicious. As soon as she packed up the things she had taken out, Feng Qingxiu heard the door open. She turned around and saw Lu Jiang. She couldn't help but patted her heart and gave him a look. Who am I to say? I didn't know how to knock when I came in. It turned out to be you. Aren't you at Yes house? Why did you come back? Or did the old couple just keep the child and drive you back? You see, as soon as you came back, there was a lot of people in the house seeing the winter suite on the dressing table. Lu Jiang suddenly said this, but ignored his wife's question. Don't worry, you will soon know that the family is becoming more and more popular. 5 children are definitely enough to give him a headache. Lu Jiang also thought about the children with different personalities, and couldn't help but hold his forehead. I'm just worried about Xiong. I don't know who this kid looks like. He wants to go to heaven and earth. He's too energetic. Let them run with us in the morning starting tomorrow. It can not only consume energy, but also exercise. All external things are inferior to a healthy body, and Feng Qingxiu doesn't want her family to put the cart before the horse. Lu Jiang's eyes lit up. This method is good. I have to train them well. They are not young anymore. They should practice well. One is to exercise the body, and the other is to exercise the will. As for getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, is it really too early? These unscrupulous parents don't feel that way at all. The children currently chatting with Ye Zhenjun and his wife at Yes house don't know that they will start to shed their skin tomorrow. Ye Yan kept looking at the door. The food will be ready soon. Why aren't Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu here yet? Ye Zhenjun smiled and said, go and have a look. If you don't come, just remind me. I'll go, Lu Erxian volunteered. As soon as he jumped up, Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu came in side by side. Feng Qingxiu looked at him. Erxiang, what do you want to do when you jump up? Lu Erxian flattened his mouth and was about to protest when Guo Kui smiled and said, I asked you to come to dinner. Your uncle Ye and I will take care of you. Thank you for teaching Ye Yan so well. Ye Yan is already very good. We are also free range and have been living in our hometown for so long. If you and Uncle Ye don't blame us, we are very happy. How dare we take the credit for upbringing? Feng Qingxiu couldn't help but speak. He laughed and said, Zhang and I used to call brother Ye, but now it's better. Because of Ye Yan, he was directly called Uncle Ye. Ye Zhenjun and Guo Kui also laughed and said, come on, I opened a bottle of mutai, let's have a good drink. After listening to Ye Zhenjun's words, the nanny and orderly quickly arranged the restaurant and opened the tables and chairs. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1907. Compared with the light dishes that Mrs. Zhang said, the Ye family's dinner table is much richer. There is no one in the army who does not like to eat meat, especially those who have come from hard times. In difficult times, they may have to endure it even if they wanted to, because there are still many people who cannot eat, but now the conditions are much better than before, and Ye Zhenjun also just indulge. On the one hand, he indulges his own appetite, and on the other hand, he wants his children to eat something good. Looking at the braised pork, stewed chicken with potatoes, sweet and sour carp, and stewed mutton and cabbage vermicelli on the table, all in the same bowl, not on a plate like the garlic yellow scrambled eggs and stir-fried cabbage, Lu Erxiang's eyes turned into slits with laughter. Grandpa, yeah, you are so kind. You know that I like to eat big meat. I am so happy. Lu Zhang, Feng Qingxiu and the children ignored his self-importance, but Ye Zhenjun smiled very kindly and gave him a trembling piece of red meat and put it in a small bowl in front of him. You can eat it if you like, eat more, you will grow faster and stronger if you eat well. From now on, when you and your brother Ye Yan come here to have dinner, I will ask the cook to prepare delicious food for you every day. Guo Kui expressed deep agreement on the side. The child is very talented and lively. I have packed up your room. It is on the second floor. Yan Yan, when will you move here to live with your grandparents? Ye Yan whispered, can I just stay at Aunt Lu's house? Guo Kui was stunned, you don't want to move here. When Ye Zhenjun heard this conversation, he put down his chopsticks unconsciously. Under the expectant eyes of his grandparents, Ye Yan poked the rice in the bowl with the chopsticks, poking out small holes, and said dully, I want to live in Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu's house, and I can go to school with Fu Bao in the morning. I play ball with my brother after school and practice calligraphy together at night. We are not lonely. My brother and I have tidied up the room and don't want to be separated. Worried about hurting his grandparents' hearts, Ye Yan continued, I will often visit my grandparents. They are so close, just a few steps away. I can also come with Fu Bao and my brother to have dinner with my grandparents. Hearing this, Ye Zhenjun and Guo Kui looked at each other. They all know that they can't blame their children for not being close to them. Relationships come from getting along. Okay, you can live wherever you want. Grandpa and Grandma have delicious food here, so you can come over and eat together. Anyway, our two families are close to each other, just a few steps away. Ye Zhenjun looked at it openly, you Uncle Lu and your Aunt Lu are no different to you than your parents, and your grandma and I are not polite to them. The dark clouds on Ye Yan's face dispersed, and his brows lit up with joy, thank you, Grandpa. Guo Kui sighed inwardly and said, we just hope you grow up happily. I'm very happy, Grandma. Ye Yan gave her a piece of meat and put it into a bowl. Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu are very good to me. Grandpa Lu and Grandpa Cheng and Grandma Cheng are also very good to me. They should also teach me the same lesson. My brother has everything I have. Look at the sportswear and sneakers I wear. Aunt Qingyun bought them for me. If I lived with my dad, I would definitely not be as good as I am now. Guo Kui sighed, that dad of yours really failed to fulfill his responsibilities as a father. He only knew how to be a hands-off shopkeeper. After saying this, he turned to Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu and said, Zhang, Zioxiu, I don't even know what to say for troublesome you. The gratitude came from the bottom of my heart. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, and yeah, your flowers are blooming well, just give me a few pots of flowers. Do you like flowers? Just pick whatever you like. Tomorrow I will go to Yukwan Mountain to find some good flowers for you. Many senior cotters here like to grow flowers and grass to cultivate themselves. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1908. Coming out of Ye's house, under the streetlights, Feng Qingxiu and a group of children were each carrying a pot of flowers and trees. There are indeed many and good flowers and trees in the Ye family's courtyard. There are many planted in the yard, and there are many potted plants in the house. The wintersweet is fragrant, the narcissus is fresh and elegant, and the gentleman's pine is green and strong. As for Lu Jiang, he was carrying a large luggage bag in one hand, which was full of clothes, shoes, paper, pens, and stationery that the old couple bought for their children. The old couple has a lot of money every month, but their expenses are small, but they can't spend it on future generations. Ye Yan has lived in the Lu family for so many years and received a good education. Naturally, many of the things they bought for their grandson include the Lu family's children. They also bought a copy for Zibao. He was very disappointed when he learned that Zibao stayed in his hometown and specially told Lu Jiang sent him the copy of Zibao. The relationship between the two families is like one family, and they have stopped being polite in this regard. Just like now, knowing that his grandparents are close at hand, Ye Yan still wants to live in the Lu family, saying that he has someone to accompany him. Feng Qingxiu looked at the double-flowered narcissus in her hand with joy. I remember buying a Ryukil narcissus basin that was azure after rain in Shanghai. When it arrived, I found it and used it to plant narcissus. On the dressing table. Fu Bao looked envious. Mom, I also like daffodils. Do you have any good-looking flower pots? The pot in my hand is too ugly and does not match the flowers. Feng Qingxiu thought for a while and said, we seem to have 2 or 3 in our family. One is a crabapple-shaped one, also made from Ryukil. It is made of celadone, a jade strip basin, and a lotus-shaped basin wrapped with white agate. You can choose it later. In fact, these are all collections from the past and have never been taken out. I will choose when I see the real thing. Now I don't know which one is better. Fu Bao loves beauty, so he also wants to choose beautiful flower pots. Feng Qingxiu laughed, thinking that she and Lu Jiang should go out for a walk early and bring things back. Lesbians are lesbians, they are delicate and love flowers and plants. Lu Erxian held a pot of wintersweet in his gloved hands, jumping up and down without fear of falling. Dad, you don't care about your wife. Mom, and my beautiful sister, life is hard enough, don't be so tired, I won't water the flowers and grass. Lu Jiang's hands were both empty, and he raised his foot and kicked his butt. You bastard, you can't say anything about your mother, she's rude. Lu Jiang wore thick clothes in winter, and considering the wintersweet that his wife liked, the footing was very light. Lu Erxian didn't feel the pain and ran forward, shouting as he ran, you are not allowed to tell the truth whether you let me live or not. Facing an old man wrapped in an old army coat and walking accompanied by guards, he saw Lu Erxian jumping towards him. Before he could see Lu Jiang and the others who were lagging far behind, he couldn't help laughing and said, hey, where is this? I've never seen that strong boy. His voice is so loud that he can even shout slogans in the army. Lu Erxian stopped suddenly. He stopped so quickly that he almost fell forward. He hurriedly ran 2 steps diagonally while holding the flower pot, and said with a thankful face, I didn't fall, I didn't fall. If my mother's flowers were if I fall, my dad will definitely not be done with me. The old man was amused by him. It doesn't matter, it broke. I will intercede for you and ask your father to let you go. Hello Grandpa, regardless of whether we know him or not, Lu Erxian's mouth was very sweet, you are so kind. I just need such a good grandpa to take care of my dad to prevent him from picking on me every day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1909. The old man laughed, what's your name? Where's your dad? My name is Lu Erxian, Grandpa. Lu Erxian replied with a smile, and suddenly realized, no, I have a name. My name is Lu Tianying. I am a hero in the world. When Xiong said this, Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu had already approached. The heroes in the world are from your generation. What a big statement. How old are you and what contribution you have made to the country? You actually compare yourself to a hero. Lu Jiang hit him unceremoniously. The real heroes are this Grandpa Su's generation. If you can have 1/10 of Grandpa Su's contribution when you grow up, your mother and I will be very happy. Feng Qingxiu followed closely and said hello to General Su. Are you always going out for a walk now? Don't freeze. I asked whose family the boy is from. It turns out he is from your family. He is very ambitious. Where is Zibao? My family Shengli misses him every day and there is no sign of him. We can only communicate through letters. General Su laughed heartily. A burst of snowflakes fell from the sky. Is it snowing? Lu Erxian shouted happily. We can build a snowman tomorrow. Fu Bao raised his head, a bit of coolness fell on his face. The weather forecast is quite accurate. It will definitely snow heavily. We can build a snowman. When Dad picked them up during the day, he said it would snow at night, and it did. You should go to school tomorrow, don't just think about having fun. Feng Qingxiu said this to the siblings, and then replied to General Su, their grandfather lives in his hometown, and Zibao has not come back with us. If you have time, you can invite Zonghua to visit our hometown. Our hometown is developing very well now. General Su smiled and nodded. I'll tell him when we see Shengli tomorrow. It's snowing and the wind is blowing. You should take your children home quickly. Don't freeze. Colds are no joke. You should go back early. You can come out to exercise whenever the weather is fine, Feng Qingxiu said. General Su waved to them and walked away. Covered in a thin layer of snowflakes, several children rushed home first. In addition to Zhuang holding a pot of winter sweet and placing it on the desk in their room, Fu Bao also brought Narcissus into his room. Feng Qingxiu looked at the daffodils she was holding. Because there was already a bottle of winter sweet on the dressing table, she was afraid that the aroma would not smell good if mixed together, so she took the narcissus to the study room on the first floor. The winter sweet left alone in the bedroom seemed to be very happy, exuding a stronger fragrance, and the light body fragrance of Qingxiu's body mixed together, which made Lu Jiang distracted and urged his wife to wash up. Feng Qingxiu glanced at him. Under the light, the ripples were flowing, and she was indescribably charming. Hurry up, I'll pour you some hot water and you can soak your feet. Lu Jiang's attitude was very attentive. Feng Qingxiu rolled her eyes. After taking a shower, she came out wrapped in a big bath towel. She took out the skincare products her sister had given her from the space. She took care of her skin from head to toe and handed the body lotion to Lu Jiang. Later it's out of reach, Jiang, please wipe it for me. Coming, Lu Jiang was delighted. As for how everything changed after applying the body lotion, that was something that happened later. The room was filled with the atmosphere of love and desire. Feng Qingxiu panted lightly and pushed Lu Jiang's chest. I haven't soaked my feet yet. Lu Jiang hugged her and said with a smile, it doesn't matter if you don't soak for a day. He sniffed her neck and felt refreshing. This smell is very good, and it feels smooth when applied on your body. Xiaoun gave it to you. Send her a letter and ask her to send you more or maybe bring some. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1910. Feng Qingxiu was so itchy that she huddled in the quilt. Xiaoun is very busy. She may not receive our letter. Even if she does, it will be next year. She is probably back to China. Don't say, I will tell you. You talk about business. What's the matter? You tell me and I listen. Lu Jiang obeyed his wife's orders. Feng Qingxiu talked about her experience in Shanghai, including selling gold and buying antiques. Now that your words have some weight, is there any way to stop the outflow of cultural relics? It's okay to go abroad for antiques, at least keep meaningful cultural relics in the country, and really wait. A few years later, the policy ended the export of cultural relics in 1986. In the past 10 years, tens of thousands of cultural relics have been lost overseas. Lu Zhang pondered for a moment. It's a bit difficult now. Who has the energy to take care of these things? But I will try my best to provide some necessary evidence to explain the importance of cultural relics. Maybe it will work. Feng Qingxiu expressed her understanding. Okay, Adrian is in the capital, so he will talk about the overseas market situation that I heard him talk about. Xiaoun also sent me a letter, and also mentioned the market situation of cultural relics and antiques in Hong Kong. In our country, there is nothing. Ancient porcelain worth a few hundred or 10 yuan can be auctioned for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in foreign countries. What a huge disparity. The information you provided is very important. Even if the country strives for foreign exchange, it will be considered. Lu Zhang already had an idea in his mind. I will invite a few old comrades to have a drink and dinner tomorrow to discuss it together, and then jointly make suggestions to the country. In the hearts of these old comrades, the interests of the country are above all else. It has been almost 30 years since the founding of the People's Republic of China. The country's development has been so slow that they are worried. It has been stagnant for too long. Whether it is knowledge or technology, the purpose of fighting for foreign exchange is to develop technology. Since it is also for sale, why not choose to sell at a high price and let it go? Are state-owned stores such as cultural relics stores and friendship stores selling to foreigners at low prices? Yes, the price sold to foreigners is already very high in the eyes of ordinary people. Just like Feng Qingxiu buys a bowl for 300 yuan and a bottle for 800 yuan. Who doesn't think it is a sky-high price? But compared with the market situation abroad, it is a drop in the bucket. Feng Qingxiu kissed his cheek. Ajiang, you are awesome. She liked Lu Jiang's dedication to serving the country and the people. When encountering something like this, the first thing he thought of was not how much he would gain, but how to reduce the country's losses. Lu Jiang turned over and pressed her down. You can praise me in other ways. Feng Qingxiu was gagged by him, whimpered twice, and pushed his shoulder but couldn't push it. She hated him so much that she didn't remind him to tell the children to get up early for exercise at 5 o'clock. She couldn't get up anyway. Is it really not worth it? The snowflakes outside the window expressed disbelief. It is said that a breakup is better than a newlywed, and the couple's quarrel lasted until midnight. At 5 o'clock the next day, Lu Zhang suddenly got up and went upstairs to knock on the door to wake up the children. If you make a promise to exercise, you will never break your promise. It's so early and so cold. It's terrible. Lu Erxian lay on the bed and screamed, Dad, how can you do it so early? We always get up at 6 o'clock at home with my eldest brother for running in the winter. 5 o'clock is summertime. Work at sunrise and rest at sunset. In the midst of Lu Erxian's complaints, Dun Dun got out of bed and turned on the light. He and Zhuang put on clothes and shoes without saying a word, doing all the movements in one go. He was worried that he would be punished if he was a step too late. The army was very strict about this aspect. Who doesn't know? Ye Yan got out of bed and saw Lu Erxian looking for his socks. He couldn't help but said, Isn't it under your pillow? This is Lu Erxian's unique habit. He stuffs his smelly socks under his pillow and refuses to change them despite repeated admonitions. Lu Zhang had already knocked on his daughter's door to wake her up. When he came back, he leaned against the door frame of their room, raised his hand to look at his watch, and knocked on the door. It's already 5 past 5. In the army, soldiers like you will be eliminated soon. Lu Erxian put on his socks angrily and put them on inside out without noticing. Fortunately, his shoes were not on inside out. Except for him, all the children in the Lu family had strong self-control and were obedient. At 5:10, Feng Qingxiu, who had managed to get up, saw her husband coming down with a group of children, among whom Lu Erxian couldn't help but yawn.